The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and are not those of WPSL. WPSL does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WPSL. The phone lines are open. Call in with your questions and comments at 340-1590. 340-1590. It's time for Stewart Laser Talk. And here's your host, Dr. Tred J. Rissacher.
Hello, Houston. This is Apollo 9. Do you copy?
5'10" and 242 pounds. I always say this is the biggest I'm ever going to be, and I said that like 20 pounds ago.
A third of Americans are obese, another third is overweight.
Obesity is the biggest threat to the health, welfare, and future of this country.
I've always been overweight.
I've got diabetes.
Sleep apnea, heart disease.
Everything's hurting now.
It's a lot easier to lose weight than it is to keep weight off.
This is probably going to be the first generation of children who are going to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
18% of our children right now are obese.
It's not only health, it's about survival and well-being of the United States as a nation.
You don't crave broccoli, and our generation has grown up craving a Big Mac. I'm going to think that there's something better for me.
Unless we're able to control this epidemic, we're going to have an abundance of chronic disease.
All of us have to be part of the solution to reduce obesity.
The weight of the nation is out of control, but we can fix that.
If we don't now take this as a really urgent national priority, we are all going to pay a really serious price.
Obesity will crush the United States in oblivion.
And welcome to Dr. Tred Thursday on WPSL. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Greg. Are you there? Houston, do you hear me?
Yes, we do. How are you?
All right. This is Apollo 9 coming in through the atmosphere, and I'm hoping to make a connection with you guys.
You're doing fine. Go for it.
All right. I will. I am so excited about today. I haven't slept for almost 2 days preparing for this moment to be here on WPSL 1590. You know, this is the true talk of the Treasure Coast. I am a WSTU graduate. You know, I've spent 10 years on WSTU, Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10, sharing my message of hope and health and healing. And I've had a great time, and I'm still going to be there. Nothing's changing. I was just, offered this incredible opportunity. The great Dr. Shipes, our Chinese Oriental medicine practitioner, who I've listened to many, many times. I didn't realize he had a long-running program over 20 years. Decided that he wanted to take a little sabbatical from the radio. I'm sure he's still in practice and doing well. And, that became an opportunity for me. And so I have committed to this next hour from 11 to 12. And I will do my best to entertain you, to teach you, to share my own story and my own wisdom and knowledge of over 33 years of chiropractic practice. I used to always tune in right before 12 because Rush Limbaugh came on right after 11 to 12. And with the passing of Rush, things changed a little bit. So maybe there's a chance I can have some success like Rush Limbaugh here.
Hey, well, you've got, you're right next to Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, the hottest new radio show in history.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have been listening to them. Yeah, it is. I'm getting used to it. But no, it's great. And, WPSL is it's a jewel for the Treasure Coast. It is a very important part of the ecosystem here and the living here in Port St. Lucie. There's not a lot of local information anymore that you can get. Everything has been, correlated and shoved through these big conglomerate media stations. And with the help of Greg White and his beautiful wife, Carol, and their commitment to public broadcasting and also, true public broadcasting, not NPR style. We're talking, right here, local with the shows that he has. I'm very, very pleased to be here. What more can I say about that? I want to thank you for this opportunity. So,
well, tell the folks about yourself. I know you're out of what is it, Long Island?
Yeah, without any further ado, I'll go on and let you know who I am and and what's going on. So, I'm 60 years old, and I've been in practice, chiropractic practice, for 33 years. I'm licensed in the great state of New York, and I practiced there with my father for several years until he retired. And however, I was raised here in South Florida, in Stewart. When I was 12 years old, my parents moved down here to right off 76 Canner Highway and Cove Road, and they bought a 5-acre fish camp. Had the rental cottages, and the restaurant was renovated into a residence for us. And my father continued to work up in New York while we stayed down here in South Florida. And I ended up graduating Martin County High School in 1979. And it was a wonderful, Florida is a true jewel. I believe that to be true. Even today, with all the challenges they're having up north with the COVIDs and the lockdowns and different policies, Florida has just been a true gift for us. So chiropractic, I want to state that everything that I'm going to talk about here as a doctor of chiropractic and a licensed chiropractor here in the state of Florida, I'm required to hold a much higher standard than people that are kind of promoting products and situations and therapies. We're as a chiropractor, I have a license and malpractice insurance, and I just believe that you're going to get a different message from me. And however, that doesn't mean that a lot of these products and treatments and things you hear about don't have value. They have a lot of value, but when you become a doctor, you really can't talk about things that aren't proven or haven't had research or don't have studies behind them. So, I'm going to talk about health and wellness and suggestions about health. I want you to know that nothing that I talk about is considered medical advice, even though I'm a medical I'm a medical professional. I'm a chiropractic physician. So please, you need to talk to your family doctor, or you can come into my office and talk to me about it before you make any drastic changes in food or diet or supplementation. Okay, because and it was an interesting story because I've been raised in natural chiropractic healthcare my entire life. I didn't know anything different. I thought everybody had a chiropractor back in the 60s and 70s. When I was in school, I couldn't believe that people didn't get their necks adjusted. My dad used to sit us down when we were kids, and he would cut our hair with a clipper in the chair in the shop, and then he would adjust our neck. And that was a normal thing for me. And as I went through, and I had to ask my dad, what is a doctor? What is a pediatrician? They talked about, do you have a note from your doctor? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, well, I'm your doctor. So, I have an approach on health and wellness, which is different than traditional medicine. And I'll be very clear as to what that means in just a second. Medical, people get sick. We do. We live our lives. Everything is fine, and ailments do occur. And they could be things that poisons and traumas and things that happen to you because you did something stupid, or a tree fell on you, or you cut yourself. But that's a very small percentage of illness is really trauma, poisons, and accidents. It's only about 5%. Okay. The other 3% is genetics, is genetic problems, predispositions to disease that are genetically based. Your genes. Very small amount of disease comes from genetics. So when you look at the other 80 to 90% of disease, these are considered auto disorders, somatic disorders. things that we can create through our habits, through our beliefs, through our, fascination, through agreement. There's a lot of different ways we get sick. And, when you think of the, heart disease and cancer and, asthmatics and people with allergic reactions, sensitivities to foods, and you think of people that have autoimmune diseases that, their body is attacking themselves. These are conditions which are very difficult to pinpoint and to treat because there's a person involved with this treatment process. There's a human being with a body to get them through life that processes food and goes to the bathroom and lays down and you dress it and you clean it. But there's two more parts to your body, and that would be a mind and a soul. So it's called body, mind, and soul. And in the Hindu religion, they call it Om Sat Tat. And in church, they call it the triune, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's three parts to us. And medicine and chiropractors really deal with the body portion of this situation. What has my body? I picked something up, my back went out of alignment. Can you put me back in alignment? That would be treating the body. Your blood pressure is elevated, and you don't know where it came from. It's been gradually going on. The medical doctor gives you a drug which lowers your blood pressure. He's treating the body, casting a broken bone, treating rashes. These are all bodily treatments. But we have a mind and a soul that also come along with us. And to ignore the mind and the soul in the treatment of people is not very complete. It leaves you to be missing out on a problem. And a great example would be, suppose you had an ulcer, a stomach ulcer, and it was due to, you've been in your life, your job was doing good, and you lost your job because of the COVID. And now the bills that you have to pay, you can't pay them. So you start to worry. You start to worry a lot about how you're going to pay your bills, what's going to happen. Now, 3 months later, they're starting to take furniture away. You're thinking of downsizing. Your children had to come out of school because you were paying for that, and now you can't afford that, and you're worrying even more. And over time, you develop a stomach ulcer from the worry and dietary disturbances, constipation, diarrhea. The stomach is definitely connected to your worry part of your life. And so you go to the doctor to get help, and they examine your stomach. They look at it and they say, you have an ulcer. We saw that on the scope. So we're going to give you a diet that will help calm it down. We're going to give you some drugs so you don't keep producing so much acidity, and you should be fine. And you're like, well, thank you, doc. Great. He just treated the body, but didn't treat the worry. And the worry was the cause. And of course, the problem came back again. And it's not within the guidance of medical professionals today to go over these types of things, to ask you what is really going on. Why did you develop this stomach ulcer? Why are you developing these chronic headaches at the end of your day? And, it's not even within the realm of chiropractors for the most part. And I'm a chiropractor, and I'm telling you that straight up. We just don't have any, we're not going to sit down and do a psychoanalytical questionnaire as to all the stress you're under and why you're worrying and anger you might have. And there's areas where you might be selfish and self-centered, and it's creating problems at home and giving you ailments and stiff necks and backs, but they're all connected together. You cannot separate people from their mind and their soul. So in medical circles, we call this the vitalistic approach to health. Now, the vitalistic approach means it looks at the whole body and the body, the mind, and the soul in trying to develop a program, a protocol that will help them to be healthier people, whether it's a stomach ulcer, whether it's migraine headaches, or whether it's a cancer. You do have to treat the body. There's no doubt about it. You know, if you have cancer and you're given a chemotherapy, which has a great survival rate, by all means, you need to do that. But at the same time, to not look at nutrition, to not look at detoxification, to not look at supplementation, to not look at, you know, problems with anxiety and stress, and also the moral problems, which are more of the soul, the things that, you know, we're doing against that we wouldn't want anyone to know about. you know, the things which you're going to say to yourself, okay, I am never going to let anybody know that this happened ever. That's a moral problem. So now I'd love to take calls. I don't know how I can because I don't. This is my first Zoom here, so you want to help me or what? I mean, I'll take a few calls, but I don't want to miss. I'm trying to build a thought here.
Okay, well let's see.
Let's handle the call, but I'd like you to hold the calls to the end or contact me at my office, and I can answer a lot more questions for you. Go ahead.
Okay, let's see if Jerry can get through. See if you can hear him. Okay, Jerry, you're on with Dr. Tread.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning, doctor.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good morning. I was ran over by a car when I was 17, and I'm 67 now. And when this happened, it was like 2:00 in the morning, and my friends got me to a osteopathic hospital that was right on the Detroit River. And
wow.
You don't hear that term osteopath anymore. I was wondering, are they referring to an orthopedic doctor? And I was wondering, back in those days, did an osteopath, did they have to go to school as long as a regular doctor did? I'd like to listen off air. That'd be okay, doctor?
Sure. Now we can handle that. We can handle that.
Okay, go ahead.
So to get back to the approach of a vitalistic doctor versus what they call an allopathic doctor, which is a medical doctor. They're called allopathic doctors, okay? And the vitalistic doctors were also osteopathic physicians. So in the early 1900s, when we started to become industrialized and Rockefeller found the oil and, everything was changing so quickly, the medical doctors were almost, some of them were magnetic healers. They used home remedies to help people to get better, herbs and plant extracts. And that was the practice of medicine, was using foods and plants and natural things to get people to be healthier. And what happened is when John D. Rockefeller discovered oil 164 years ago, it was discovered then he industrialized it. He saw the value in using oil to make medicine, to make the pharmacological agents that we have today. So, you know where I'm going with this. So what happened is, oil and petroleum-based pharmacological products, the oil is a backbone for many, many natural occurring substances. So a lot of the drugs that are sold are made from oil, but they used to be naturally occurred in the environment. And so what Rockefeller did, and I can show you these studies, he put a whole bunch of money into developing the science behind it and the studies. And also he put a lot of money into discrediting the natural practitioners of the day. And these were your more holistic based vitalistic doctors. And at the same time that this was happening, medical doctors started moving into a much more allopathic drug theory. It's called the germ theory. In other words, if you're sick and they find a germ, they're going to treat the germ, kill the germ, and you'll be healthy. Now we know that that's a temporary fix. It doesn't work that well. And so what happened is back in the early 1900s, there was another movement. Now, chiropractors deal with what they call the law of the nerve. In other words, nerves leave your spine, they go down through your spinal column, they leave between the bones, and they can be pinched and irritated, and that's called a subluxation, and that can create dis-ease within the body, symptoms, health problems, and a chiropractor's job is to find the vertebra, push it back into place, and restore the function back to the body. Now, at the same time, the osteopathic doctors, which is what he was referring to, osteopathic medicine, they believed in the law of the artery, blood supply. Now, the arteries and the blood supply run together with the nerve supply. So there's a nerve and there's a vein and there's an artery that are associated with it. It's called a neurovascular bundle. So they started examining alignment of the spine and of the joints. And when it was out of place, they would rack it, what they called racking it back into place to free up the blood circulation. Now, that's also with the nerve circulation. So you see how similar they were? You know, the neurovascular bundle is pinched between the bones. A chiropractor looks at it and moves it. An osteopath does the same thing. And so it was almost a duplicate of services. And at this time, osteopaths were not licensed as medical doctors. They were considered fringe practitioners like chiropractors used to be. And in the 30s, the osteopathic medicine people decided to incorporate a complete medical curriculum into their college. And their osteopathic facilities became straight up medical colleges. And they taught a complete medical curriculum. Now, this has always been something that they pushed on chiropractors. They want us to go full medical, have a full medical curriculum. And we fought that conversion by not allowing us to prescribe or to treat people with drugs or surgeries. We can't do that. It's not within my license to do that. I learned nothing about it. I've learned about pills, but I'm not licensed to do that. The osteopath has the license to treat with surgery and medications, but they also can opt in to learn how to do the back cracking. So it's kind of a wholer approach to health. However, there's not a lot of money in racking and cracking bones. The money's in surgery and drugs. And so most osteopaths, unless they're old timers or really believe in the old osteopathic ways, they do not do any more manipulation. So I know that's a long explanation, but that's the difference between the two.
So you mean the pills that I take are made by Standard Oil?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that way they could license it and patent it.
Well,
Remember,
I wonder if
you can't patent an herb. You can't patent sage or thyme. You know, there's no patent for that. But if they could change it into a compound, and that's where we're at today. By the way, medicine is patented, and it comes from chemicals. Anyway, but yes, and listen, don't stop taking your pills. Okay, you probably need them, Greg. Most people do. Yeah. Well, for right now, until you look into the real why you're not feeling well and really health in general, which is what I do at the Slim Body Spa, most people need their meds. You know, I don't think you should stop taking them at this point. So just to wrap this up, because we're at our half-hour time here, is so a chiropractor has a vitalistic approach to healthcare. In other words, when you're sick, we treat the symptom, or we refer to have the symptom treated, but then you stay with us to rebuild the strength of your immune system through adjustments, through detoxification, through supplementation, through the things you listen to on Joanne's program, and also with Dr. Shipes. You know, their vitalistic approach to health. And it sounds a little quacky too, right? I mean, I listen to it. I'm like, is that proven? You know, put my feet in that detox bath. They don't do it at Cleveland Clinic. So, right? So, you know, it's kind of like, but it's a vitalistic approach. It's not the germ theory. Now, what's the germ theory? The germ theory is stated by in the 1800s, a guy named Dr. Koch, like Mayor Koch. It's hard to, you get teased with that name a lot, I bet. And he developed the 4 postulates of the germ theory. And this is the basis of modern medicine, by the way. This is their foundation. Okay, that when somebody is sick, and several people have the same illness, they would then take blood and see what germ that they're suffering from. And if they can identify a germ, which is not normally in the population, and they don't know if it's making them sick, and then they isolate it. That's the first postulate, that they have to be able to take a germ or a virus out of the person. And then they grow that virus or germ in a plate of agar, which multiplies it so you have just that one germ or virus. And then from that, that's the second postulate, has to be grown. The third one is they then put it into somebody who doesn't have symptoms. And that's the third. So what happens is if that person gets sick, similar to the other symptoms, then they have to isolate the germ one more time from the person, and it has to match exactly what came out of the first person. So there's these 4 steps to proving if a germ is really what's making you sick. And then from that, then they use the therapeutics to try to, antibiotics and the different therapies they do to try to stop this. And this is the germ theory. And it's the best way to describe the germ theory and what medical doctors are doing is taking a picture of you have trash at home. You got your kitchen and you left the trash out. You didn't get it to the curb that day, and you come home and there's flies all around, zipping in and out. And you're like, oh my God, there's flies all over the trash. So you go to your cabinet and you grab a can of Raid, a can of fly killer, and you spray it. And you kill all the flies. The flies die. And there's no more flies. Now, if you don't take the trash out, what happens the next day? The flies come back, don't they? And they'll come back again. And you can use the Raid and spray it again, kill them another time. And if you don't take the trash out or clean up the problem, those flies will come back forever. And then you know what else will happen is they'll eventually become resistant to that bug spray because that's what flies do, because their job is to get rid of dead, decaying tissue matter. And that's exactly what happens with this germ theory. When a germ is identified in your body as being something which is making you sick, and I don't doubt that at all, and then they isolate it, and then they use a therapeutic to treat it, whether it's a vaccination or an antibiotic, if they don't take out the trash and figure out why you became vulnerable, why did that germ infect you and not somebody else? That's my question. If the virus was as potent as it is, then why isn't it affecting every single person the same way? Why does somebody younger have almost no symptoms and zero death rate, and somebody older have a much worse problem? And I tell you, we know why it is, and you know why it is, because as you get older, you start to sacrifice your health. Your heart doesn't pump as well. You're carrying too much body fat. Your ability to exercise becomes less, not because you can't, you don't want to. You become much more sedentary, which is another disease process, which will lead to poor circulation and tissue buildup. In other words, it's not the virulency of the fly. It's not their effectiveness to get in. It's the trash. It's your overall health and wellness, whether or not you can resist an attack from outside the body. So allopathic medicine treats diseases with drugs, and you might need that, but gosh darn it, it shouldn't be your permanent house. I had a counselor explain it to me like this. He said, Fred, he says, drugs are to be used when you've messed up, you've made mistakes, and you need help. Kind of like you're at the river and you got to get across. It's a rushing river. There's no way to get across. You're going to die. And somebody offers you a boat, a raft to get across the river. That's a drug. You get across the river. You're at the other side. You got to get out of that boat. You can't live in it. It shouldn't be your houseboat. And so 3 days, 3 weeks with, 3 weeks, 3 months with a drug, and you had better be looking at eating better, exercising more, lessening body fat, trying supplementation, maybe soaking your feet in that foot detox bath. You know, there's nothing that you try that's really wrong. There's many, many ways to heal the body. And I'll give you a little bit of truth from my dad, who was a fantastic healer. 51 years he practiced as a chiropractor before I ever got out of college. So that's how long he'd been taking care of people. His license was number 300 in New York. And he was the chiropractor that chiropractors went to. He was the first chiropractor to ever be paid in the New York State Worker Comp Board case, way before comp was allowed. So my father was a legend in what he did. So he wouldn't help me at all when I was in college. Very little help. I wanted to know more about chiropractic, and he said, "Get your license. I'll teach you how to be a chiropractor in 2 weeks." He told me, and I was like, "I don't know about that. They're teaching me a lot here." And so when I got out of college and I was working with him, I finally had to ask him the question that was sitting on my conscience my whole time in chiropractic college. Because remember, my father raised me with an adjustment and his natural approach to healthcare. When I got into chiropractic college, I got introduced to a lot of different procedures, just like what you hear on Joanne and like you hear with Dr. Scheitz. There's a lot of processes and procedures out there to stimulate a healing response. And why do some of them work and some of them don't? This just bugged the hell out of me. And chiropractic college, there's a movement within my school to work on people's necks. That's where all the problems are. If you can align the neck and treat that properly, it's called a hole-in-one technique, then most of your conditions are going to clear up and be fine. Now, at Logan Chiropractic College in St. Louis, Missouri, their procedure was totally different. They worked on the sacrum and the lower back as the foundation. And if you keep the foundation straight, then all the other bones are going to be in alignment and you'll get all kinds of health from that. So I got out of college and I said, "Dad, what's the deal?" One movement says that everything is from the neck. The other one says it's all from the lower back. And each of them have incredible results and failures. I said, "What is the deal?" And he says, "Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth, kid." He got down very quietly. He says, "You ready?" "Yeah, I'm ready." He says, "Anything can cause anything, and anything can cure anything." And he walked out of the room. Oh, I didn't want to hear that. And you know how true it is? I can't tell you how true it is. If you were fixing a broken bench, that would not hold true. There's no life force in a broken bench, or a computer which failed and you got to figure out the broken wire, or a car that won't start. Something caused that, and it's usually very specific, and it takes a specific thing to do it. But when you come into a person, a human being, or an animal, or anything that's been given this life force, this vitalistic desire to survive, everything, to heal, to be healthy, to be well, to sleep, to get rid of, to be hungry, to take nutrition, to store fat, these processes, these are innate, given, God-given, processes. And we don't know much about them. We know a heck of a lot about, you know why we don't know much about them? Because everything that we study is on dead corpses, right? Medicine is based on anatomy, not physiology, anatomy of somebody who died. And they don't do a lot of examination on a living being because, to be honest, that would be, immoral because you might kill somebody. So when you're looking at processes and procedures and you're sick and you realize you need help, be open-minded about the things that you're thinking about doing, because your open-mindedness, your ability to embrace it, to look at it with an open mind, you will get a better result than if you walk in as a skeptic. You know, why would you go to a doctor and pay them thousands of dollars to do something and look right at them and said, I don't really think this is going to work. I don't know if I should do this. You know, I'm very scared that I'm going to die here. You know, on it, that's skepticism. And that's a moral sickness, to be skeptic about things. You know, do your work, do your research, and then give it to them. So, and you'll get a better result, I promise you, you know, and that gets back to that anything can cause anything and anything can cure anything. You know, you want to make somebody sick, and I please don't do this. Go around and when a person gets up, go to 5 different people in their life, you know, let's say it's a friend. You wouldn't do this to a friend. And 5 people tell him during the day, are you okay? You look a little pale. And, you know, and the guy at work tells him that. And then someone else at work says, you know, there's been a lot of people sick around all week. People have been not showing up and they looked a lot like you do right now. That's the second person. Now he's at lunch and somebody says, are you feeling okay? You know, that's a 4. And now these are unrelated people. You get to the 5th person, that guy goes home. He's got a scratchy cough. He's feeling a little under the weather. He's like, I better lay down. Everybody saw, you know, next day, he's got the creeping crud that they promoted on TV. That really, people do make themselves sick. And you can also make somebody healthy very easily with things you say and suggestions you say.
Isn't it amazing what the mind can do?
Yeah, well, the mind creates all the happiness and success. Why wouldn't it create all the pain and suffering too? Right?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, well, it does, but we never want to accept that because we want to blame it on somebody else or something else. So, but this really, I was going to talk about my laser spa and what I do at Stewart, but I'll have enough time here to do this again. I just wanted you to get a little bit to know me and some of my beliefs, because if you're going to go in and try something for health, that's maybe, be sure that you've done your research. It's something that you want to do and it's within your belief, and then and really lean into it, accept it, because you'll get a much better result if you do that. So, you know, I take vitamins and supplements. I think it's important. You know, 50 years ago, my father said they would lampoon you if you took vitamins. If you recommended vitamins and supplements, they said it's all contained in the food. We fortify it with the breakfast cereals. We know that's not true today. We know that we're not getting these vitamins and minerals and supplements naturally anymore. So we need to supplement. There's a lot of people that don't believe that. I do it because it makes sense to me, and I accept it 100% because it's not dangerous. It's not anything too bad. So let's go over the last 15 minutes here about what it is I'm doing here. If you have any questions, you'd like to get into a dialogue, you know, I'm going to offer a Zoom weight loss meeting coming up real soon. I just don't have the technology skills yet, but I will by next week or the week after. And this is going to be a regular Zoom that we're going to have where you can log in. There's no charge to become a Zoom. And I'm going to do a 1-hour presentation on weight loss. You know, what happened to me was, after 27 years of working in my chiropractic office, and I became in my late 40s, I started to develop a weight problem. I never had weight problems before that. And I also noticed that half of the world was developing a weight problem also. This was in the 2010, 2009, you know, the financial crisis came at 8 and 9, 2008 and 9, the Obama crisis with the printing of all the money. But everybody was, you know, and I was starting to gain weight, and never had I thought about a weight loss program. I'd always just been very active and exercised. So as a result of putting on about 40 pounds, I started to go into weight loss programs. I tried the HCG, did not work for me. I didn't like the injections, and they said you could do it in the oral. It made me cranky. I had a smell that came off of me. I lost the weight really fast. I gained that weight plus another 5 pounds within the next 6 weeks after that. And I disciplined myself not to overeat. It wasn't sustainable. I walked into a Weight Watchers class one day looked at all the people in there, thought to myself, oh no, I can't do this. I'm a doctor. I'm going to go in here with all these overweight people. I'm not even that heavy, right? That's what I thought. I walked out. Wasn't for me. Tried the gym, signed up for the memberships, got a trainer, lost some inches, felt better, but never was able to really drastically change my weight that much because I'm just not somebody who's going to work out 2 hours a day. It's just not going to happen. I would be good at 3 days a week. And I hadn't ever really confronted my food because food is the crux of having weight gain. And I didn't know that earlier in my career. I thought it was if you exercised a lot, it really didn't matter how much food you ate. That was really my belief. And most of you believe that. You went through school, maybe you were athletic, and you ate anything you wanted because you were exercising and running and jumping, and you could manage your weight. And now that you turn 50 and your hormones have changed, you're living a more sedentary lifestyle, your blood circulation isn't pumping quite the same. You're not out chasing girls anymore or looking for men. And all of a sudden, this weight starts to accumulate. And you think that you can just run it off or exercise. And all of a sudden, exercise is a lot harder when you're in your 50s and 60s. Your knee hurts, your back hurts. You go to the gym, it's full of young people, all with their selfies, and you're like still wearing your tube socks with the color band around your what is it, your Chuck Norris shoes, those basketball shoes.
Wait a minute, did you have a camera in the gym when I was in
Yeah,
there?
and you're trying to pull your shirt over your belly because it's getting caught on things, and they need help, and I needed help. And I didn't know what to do, I really didn't. And I kind of started just ignoring it and accepting that, I'm just going to smile more. Not going to worry about it. And fate comes and God produces things that maybe when you're not ready, you're ready, but you don't know it. And I was introduced to this laser device, a cold laser. It's a red light device. A young chiropractor came into my office in 2009 to cover for a week. And he said, I had a lot of patients that were in pain. And he said, what do I do when someone's in pain? And I looked at him, I says, well, you put ice on them, see them twice a day, send them to the real doctor, the allopathic doctor, if they need medicine. Remember, I'm not a treat symptoms, and he looks at me and he goes, don't you have a laser? And I'm like, why would I have a laser? He was a young chiropractor. He goes, because they teach them in chiropractic college now. He says I said, I'm not going to cut something out. I'm not going to burn somebody. Why would I need a laser? Because I thought they were all medical lasers. And he says, no. He says, they're therapeutic lasers. They're for therapy. They reduce pain. They reduce inflammation. And they can speed up tissue healing in a series of 5 or 6 treatments. He says, you can take someone in an acute back spasm, put the laser on them for 5 to 10 minutes. He says, and the pain is 50% reduced. They walk out. And I was like, okay, all right. Where did you get the laser? Where do you get a laser? And he gave me a website. And I looked at the website. He covered for that week. I came back. All he did was complain that he had no laser to use. He was a young doctor. And I bought my own laser that week. And it was called the Microlight MLA 830. It was a cold laser. It looked like a flashlight that you would hold in your hand, but no light came out of it. It didn't have any heat. And you had to wear funky glasses to protect your eyes. And so did everybody else in the room. They said it used infrared energy, which is the same as a night scope on my rifle. How could that heal tissue? I didn't understand. So I saw some videos. Some people had amazing results with it. So I had a lot of people to practice on. It was in 2009, and I started putting it on people's elbows and knees and shoulders and putting it on doing the protocol that was taught to me. 3-button, minute and a half, turn it, minute and a half. So 3 to 4 minutes to 5 minutes on each area, do another 5 minutes, do it every other day. And half the people noticed considerable results. Some were miraculous. One treatment, pain was gone. Others didn't even take the edge off of it, and then again, there you got that same policy. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't. That's the nature of medicine and healing. Not everything's going to work for everybody. And I needed to find more because I saw that there was people that really did help. And I thought maybe it's just not penetrating deep enough. Maybe I need to learn more about this thing. And that's what I did. I went to some classes and I learned about the deep tissue lasers, about these healing, these cold lasers can also be used hot lasers, but they're using them in a therapeutic way. And they have a special handpiece on it. And the difference between a cold laser and a deep tissue laser is the cold laser takes 40 minutes to treat an elbow. The deep tissue laser can treat an elbow in 10 minutes because it has more power, more penetration, so you can treat more people. So now I went from treating fingers and wrists and sore toes to full-on neuropathy, to people with sciatic injury, nerve injuries, compressed people with failed back surgery with rods and bone, metal and screws in their back, using the laser in a series of treatments to give them incredible relief, sometimes resolving chronic painful conditions in less than 3 or 4 sessions. And I was just, what is going on? This light it's healing tissue. And that put me on a journey that I'm still looking today, trying to understand this.
Doctor, we have a caller that asked if what your opinion is on helping with osteoporosis. Can the laser help that?
Well, no. Osteoporosis is a condition in the bones where they start to become demineralized, where you're losing calcium, and the calcium is what makes them strong. So a lot of times osteoporosis is corrected nutritionally by eating good foods and eating the right types of foods, the right amount of supplementation, which can replace those minerals, calcium, magnesium. I'm not that up on it, but it's definitely a nutritional thing. And the other thing is you want to make sure that you're getting weight-bearing exercise. Got it. You got beautiful nails, Greg. So you want to make sure that you're getting weight-bearing exercise, because you might not grow bone density back, but you can stop it from getting worse by increasing weight-bearing exercise. And that might be something as simple as buying some ankle weights and holding some weights in your hands as you walk. It needs to be more than gravity, because otherwise your bones won't strengthen. Now, there's also a device that you can buy at home. You can buy it on Amazon. We have them in my office, called a whole body vibration platform. And a whole body vibration platform is technology that was developed from the space program, because when astronauts were in space, they would get low bone density and low muscle mass. So they put them on these vibration machines, which push up into their feet, and it activates the bony cells and the muscles to strengthen, and it improves bone density. And there's hundreds and hundreds of studies proving that whole body vibration can help with bone density. Now, what's great about vibration plates is if you're older and you can't stand, you can sit in a chair and put your feet on it. And that will help strengthen the bones in your body. There's a ton of studies on it. If you want to shoot me an email, my email is slimbodylaserspa@gmail.com. I'm sorry. Yeah. Slimbodylaserspa. slimbodylaserspa@gmail.com. You can also contact me on my website. It's Dr. Tread's slimbodylaserspa.com. You can also put my name in, drtread.com, and you'll come up with my stuff on the internet. I'm also located in Stewart on East Ocean Boulevard, right across the street from the Fresh Market. It's called the Slim Body Laser Spa, and that is just down the street from the beaches. We do have free consultations, always with me for a half hour, and we can answer a lot of those questions. I do sell whole body vibration plates in my office. I have my own brand. It's called Dr. Tread's Body Vibe. They go for about $1,000 a piece, but they're very good quality. And I will teach you how to use it. help set you up, set one of my staff members to make sure that you understand how it works. We're really trying to be helpful. The office is called the Slim Body Laser Spa, and I'm using an FDA cleared low-level laser similar to what I use for pain to melt and to shrink away belly fat. If you've heard my name, you probably know, you've seen my ads. I've spent millions of dollars in promotion, radio, advertising, TV, full page ads in the Stewart News over the last 10 years. And I just now decided to come on to WPSL because Greg found a spot for me. And I'm very, very grateful to him. And I'll be more promotional next time. I'll talk more about my office and what I'm doing. I just wanted everyone that normally would tune in to hear Dr. Shipes today is going to be like, whoa, hey, there's somebody else here. But I want you to know that my knowledge and my base of wisdom and healing and health is something which is, you couldn't even fit it in the Library of Congress. That's how much information I've learned over 33 years. I'm a seeker, I'm a searcher, I'm a reader, I study, I look at things from an open mind. Remember, anything can cause anything and anything can cure anything. And if you want to get rid of your stubborn belly fat, find out about detox and what I do, you give us a call at the Slim Body Laser Spa, or you go to drtred.com. I give you my phone number, but you'd probably forget it anyway. But remember, Dr. Tred, DRTRED, put it into your Google search, and you will come up with my information. Isn't that right, Greg?
All right, you got it.
Am I running out of time? Am I almost there?
Show number 1 is in the books. And,
it's in the can, as they say.
That's it. You got it. And
okay, I'll be on WSTU Tuesday at 9, and I'll be back on this rodeo show again in 1 week, 11 o'clock Thursday.
Dr. Tred Tuesdays on STU and Dr. Tred Thursdays on WPSL. Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you. God bless.
This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie.